Yo, welcome to another episode of the Bjj Goons podcast. I'm your host, Tim, the MUSHMASTER Spriggs, and with me as always every week is...
Yo, what's up, everybody? It's Nico Ball, no new Nico. Glad to be back for another week. Unfortunately, still in the U.S., but I'm here, whatever. Life goes on.
Yeah, life goes on. How you been this week? Are you feeling better than last week?
After talking to you yesterday, I think my week has definitely calmed down. Like, my chaos has calmed down compared to your week.
Yeah, I got a lot of shit going on.
You got a lot going on, actually.
I do.
Yeah.
It's this part of my life has been a cluster. I'm not going to say cluster F-bomb because I'm trying to get our YouTube channel monetized, and YouTube are like the police. Like, they're just super strict about stupid stuff. So I'm gonna try my best not to cuss. My life is not chaos, but I have a lot of stress going on. I mean, I think stress is from internal, like from the inside. But if you're a thinker and you're intellectual, you tend to think a lot because you have a lot of stuff going on, and that's just gonna lead to your body just being stressed.
Yeah, and if you're thinking a lot and don't have solutions, sometimes all you can do is wait, and thinking about it and overthinking about it isn't going to help. And it's hard to get your mind off the topic. I suffer from that all the time.
Intelligent people tend to overthink.
Yeah.
I just wish sometimes that I was stupid, like a real dummy.
Mm.
Because I think dumb people, their life is so much more fulfilling to them.
Yo, like the dad from Shameless, like he gives zero fucks about anything. Like,
Daggone it, Nico, you just dropped the F-bomb. We're not going to get monetized now.
I didn't know that F-bomb was about monetization. Like, so Tim's all about his monetization of the YouTube, and like I'm not gonna lie, it's like I have zero F's to give about that because like historically, all I do is bootleg stuff. So I bootleg stuff from Flow Grappling, and then I take music and I put it over it. So I like Favela Jiu-Jitsu has all of the strikes, dope videos, but all the strikes. But Tim has a very valid point. I didn't know the curse words were for the monetization. Are you serious?
Yes, Nico, it's so strict. There's so many different things that can get you strikes, and it's hard enough as it is. By the way, I keep looking on the YouTube. I'm going to say this every single week. Y'all need to get the likes like the viewers, because there's no reason why there's like 5 likes on a video where hundreds of people have watched it.
Even if you're not watching the damn video, if you listen to the podcast, just slide over on the YouTube real quick. I know it's a pain in the butt because you have to sign in, but sign into the damn YouTube, give it a like, leave a comment.
Give me one more thing. You don't even have to log in if you have the YouTube app on your phone, and everyone has the YouTube app on their phone. Mad people have the YouTube app on their phone. All you got to do is click it. Even if you don't have to log in, all you got to do is like the video, watch it. I have playlists with clips on clips on clips. I have a playlist of almost every single BJJ Goons episode up there. You guys can watch past interviews we've done. You can see different things from the past and see the evolution. By the way, the other day I found the first episode of the BJJ Goons podcast. And
Oh, for real?
yes, I found it. I found the audio because it's audio only, and the sound was pretty good. And it was the same snowball mic that I use when we used to do Zoom interviews. And yeah, we've come a long way. But nonetheless,
I can
slide
only
on over.
imagine the crap you guys were talking about.
It wasn't
So that's no curse
bad.
words, or it's just the F word? What about
I just try my best not to curse. And I have a side project in which I have to make sure I don't curse, because what the place that I'm going to be working for, you can't really curse on air. So I'm just working on that. But on the subject, make sure, if you haven't already done so, like this video. If you are watching this and you get bored, you're not going to. But if you just got to go somewhere else, just watch the video on silent so we get those numbers up. And subscribe to the channel. If you're listening on your favorite podcasting platform, make sure that you follow us, write a review, and listen. And of course, most importantly, if you want to see me explain very detailed techniques if you want to see bonus episodes of the show, if you want a question answered by yours truly or Nico, slide on over to patreon.com/BJJ Goons for all that beautiful content that we make. I'm going to say this right now. I'm one of the, if not the best technicians when it comes to teaching jiu-jitsu there is. And also, finally, Tim Spriggs, BJJ.com is up and running. If you would like a game plan made for you for jiu-jitsu in the form of a flow chart, if you would like me to critique your matches, kind of like John Madden used to do, where I take a magic pen and circle what you need to do, and I show you examples of other world-class people doing the techniques that I want you to do or I think will be beneficial to your game, whether it's in the game plan or if it's in the critique. Also, if you want a private lesson with me, either in person or virtually, or if you want me to come to your academy and teach a seminar. All of that can be found on timspriggsbjj.com. Book me. Just go online. It's very simple. Book a brother. You know, that's it. That's all I got to say. But hopefully the rest of this week and the next few months ends up going well.
All right, the last announcement that I gotta drop before we get into, I guess, like some current events, some news I wanted to ask you about the Olympics is that Randori will be holding another tournament. This is not an internal tournament, it is an invitational for anybody that is in the DMV area. The next one will not be in their gym, they have rented out a venue. It is going to be August 21st at the Annapolis Doubletree Hotel. So if you're interested, they have 10 applications. They need about 30 more. They're all super fights. It'll be matched up, all belts white through black. So you submit your belt, your weight, your preference gi or no gi, and then they'll go through the matchmaking process and let you know. So if you're interested in that, you can go to Randori Martial Arts, and I believe their Instagram is RJJC1, and there's rjjc1.com to sign up. I know I had some friends from New York that were talking about wanting to do it and come down. I know they were also talking about like places to stay. Like, so if you're in New York and you need a place to stay in the DMV, that's like not an issue. Like, so hit us up because there's plenty of people with couches or mats. Like, just like when I go to New York, I know I always have a couch to stay on. So we definitely got you. You definitely can't get to the event from the bus. So if you do need to come down, like, and get to like Baltimore or DC, there's plenty of people that could pick you up and facilitate you going to that event and fighting. I know those were some of the issues that they talked about and concerns athletes had last time. So if you're interested, hit them up and work those things out beforehand. Don't wait till last minute like me, because that's why I'm in the US and not Brazil, because I waited till last minute.
And one last thing for me, I'm sorry. I have a special sponsor to shout out. I'd like to shout out Federico Cali at Blue Edge Business Solutions. They are the wonderful people that built my website and the website that you guys are going to go on to. So shout out to them. If you are a grappler listening and you want to make yourself into a business, go to them. They will hook you up. They will do all the back end stuff for you. And you're going to be able to like accept payments through this website that they make for you. They're going to take the pictures of you or take pictures that you already have and put it real nice. If you look at my website, timspriggsbjj.com, you're going to want to use them. And if you don't even do jiu-jitsu professionally, you have another profession, these are the people to go to. All right, let's get started.
All right, my goal this episode also is to not let Tim ask me things like about fights he knows that I haven't watched, so I sound ignorant. So Tim, I'm gonna ask you, what's up with the Olympics, man? Like, I found out about it on my way here, actually. A lot of controversy. Found out about it on Instagram from a militant activist that's boycotting the Olympics.
What's up with the Olympics? There's not supposed to be a crowd there. It's going to be athletes only, I believe, because in Japan, it is a cluster over there. And with the Olympics, there's not going to be any jiu-jitsu. I know, surprise. But the real issue with the Olympics is that Sha'Carri Richardson, that's her last name, correct?
Yes, hold on, I'm on the wrong area.
Sha'Carri Richardson, the fastest woman in the United States, may not make it to the Olympics because she tested positive for marijuana. I'm going to let you go off because you're the one that brought. I heard about it, but this really got you
I mean,
upset?
no, it's not even just this. This is like one of several things that has been happening. So first we have like her that's tested positive for cannabis, which is banned by the World Doping Agency. It says Sha'Carri won the 100-meter race in 10.86 seconds, after which she became a strong candidate for the gold medal in the Olympics. And it's like, I understand that it's banned, but if she's an Olympic athlete, like, why was she using marijuana? Was it legal? Was it for recovery? Because you were telling me that you read somewhere that you can kind of like appeal it, or if you can prove that it's not used for athletic performance. But when you think about it, it's, like, smoking weed isn't going to make you faster. It's something more for recovery, for sleeping, for relaxing. It's not something you should be doing right before you go out on a race. So it's just interesting, and that's one of the many controversial things that have come up on top of that. On top of, did you like the Black Lives Matter and all forms of protest being banned in the Olympics as well? That's also pissed people off. How do you feel about that one?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you how I feel about it and relate it to the drug culture in jiu-jitsu, if that's okay. So first, let's start from Shikari, I'm sorry. I think it's bogus that she's getting potentially expelled from the Olympics before she even gets there. I don't believe that marijuana is a performance enhancing drug at all. It's medicinal in a lot of ways for people, but it's not going to give you an unfair advantage. It's not a pharmaceutical. It's not like it's made in a lab. It's a better version to me than I would say a bunch of pain pills. As someone that's gone through excruciating pain before from a surgery, I would smoke weed before I would smoke, or I'm sorry, before I would take pills. Not that I did when I got hurt, but I don't think that pills are any safer. They're less safe than a plant that can get grown basically anywhere. And if you got the right rig, you can grow it in a house. I don't like drug, what's the word I'm looking for? Drug prohibition, just as a principle, because it's just used to oppress people.
It's used very politically.
It's
Exactly.
used very politically. Even now, like you saw the last election, people say one thing like, "Oh, it's okay. I'm gonna fight against this. Like, I'm gonna release people that got non-drug violent drug offenses," and they use it against people.
I mean, even yesterday, it became legal to grow marijuana in Virginia. Are you aware of that?
Yeah,
So
I
it's
heard
like,
about that.
the legality of it, the gravity of it, it's always changing. It's so subjective. So to think about like the amount of people that have actually suffered
But it's
from it,
political,
it's all
because
political.
if they were to say that we're not even gonna test it anymore, it would make other countries, including the United States, look stupid or look like they act in bad faith, which I think the Olympics in general acts in bad faith, in these countries that are involved in Olympics, a lot of them, like ours, act in bad faith where they talk out of both sides of their mouth. The Olympic Committee kind of let Russia slide with all the drug. If you watched Icarus, you would know what I'm talking about. Watch that movie. It's on Netflix, I think, still. These people, the Olympic Committee let stuff slide for ages because of politics. But now this young woman who decided to smoke weed, and I believe she was going through a lot of life problems around the time, like she lost a loved one or something around the time that she
Mm.
went. I think it's bogus that she's getting reprimanded in this way. They shouldn't even be testing for it. And I thought they changed the rule after Nick Del Popolo got popped for weed in his system. Regardless, next point, the whole anti-political statements at the Olympics. Let me be honest with you about the Olympics. It does not mean what people try to make it up to be. I don't look at it as some kind of noble event anymore. I used to think it was a great way to represent your country, but as we saw in 2020, what's the point of being gung ho and super patriotic for a sporting event that is just a marketing tool and is just a money grab for TV? and then you're fighting for a country that doesn't respect you. And then on top of that, the Olympics is saying we're going to reprimand people that put up a political statement. I think that's lame. It's their prerogative, but I I think that's whack. If the Olympics is supposed to represent the the peak of humanity, like imagine despite Jesse Owens competing, right? In the Olympics in Berlin, that was a statement, right?
Mhm.
The whole Black Power fist on the podium, that's very memorable. I think that it's lame that they're going to say that, and it's lame that they're going to punish people. But, once again, it's politics.
It's interesting. I didn't know necessarily about the punishment, but when you see, because I have a friend that's in law school, and so he's always talking about like these new things, and it's like the rules. It says Rule 50, which prohibits athletes from making any sort of political expression, particularly on metal podiums in the field of play and opening and closing ceremonies. The rule does not target a particular movement or ideology. So, like when you talk about things like Jesse Owens, that thing has happened before, and did the rules come up then? Like, was it banned then?
They're bringing it up now because just like in the 60s, this is a time of social upheaval, civil disobedience, and speaking truth to power. The pa- Listen, the Olympics is the machine. They're not some noble federation that's trying to make everybody work together, kumbaya bullcrap. The Olympics is just another corporation that's the man. And they come up with arbitrary, silly rules like no smoking marijuana and no civil protest. I'm gonna be honest. I already don't really care about the Olympics that much. I mean, people are Olympians. It's a noble cause for their sport. But at the end of the day, I've seen so many guys that have won the Olympics or have gone to the Olympics, and it doesn't make you're not going to be set for life by winning a gold medal. You know what I
Very
mean?
true.
It's not some noble event. But let me bring it to jiu-jitsu. There are rules. And we see sometimes that there's a lot of arbitrary rules in sports. And if we're gonna go to like the PED aspect of it, like to say marijuana, I hate the fact that IBJJF tests for weed. So you're telling me a guy that smokes weed, and jujitsu is a weed sport, whether you want to like to admit it or not. Jujitsu is a weed sport. Bamas be smoking weed doing jujitsu. It's a weed sport. Weed isn't a performance enhancing drug. But if you get busted at Worlds or Pans or some event with weed in your system, they're gonna treat it like you were doing steroids.
Because it's the perception. But, like the people that have like the major drugs that get caught in these major scandals, you don't even find out about them because they're cleared up before they ever hit the social media and the news, you know?
Yeah, there's no consequences for it. I think that's the thing. It's just all it's all a joke. It's all a freaking joke.
All right, so finishing up on some of this, like what you say, like they say you said the Olympics is just like an organization. It's just big, like a big
The
system, and they really
IOC.
don't care. They don't care about people. So
Yeah.
they go further to say, like in their own defense, that it's the fundamental principle that the sport is neutral and must separate from political, religious, or other type of interference. They also indicate that it is not the host country, but the Olympic Committee that is responsible for this, and they made in the recent years because of American athletes like propensity to protest and demonstrate social justice through sports, they've been trying to amend this rule, but naturally in April, I think it was, in April it was taken up and they rejected that shit. So some people might be surprised, but I think like if you remember the last Olympics that was in Brazil, like I was in Brazil leading up to that and people died, like literally died to bring the Olympics to Brazil. It destroyed like part of the economy. I say people died because they built this shitty pedestrian bridge, like, and they were trying to rush to build it and it collapsed with pedestrians on it. And that was all in an effort to bring the Olympics there. They built unsafe housing on graveyards. They evacuated all the gangs to the South Zone from the South Zone to the North Zone. So all of the gangs took over the North Zone. So after the Olympics, the police had to go in and take back the North Zone. So like I wouldn't expect anything less from the Olympics. Like some people, like Tim says, it's like a medal. It doesn't mean anything. It's not going to do anything to you, but or for you. But in jiu-jitsu, like we also vie for like to be world champion, and that has emphasis on us. So I know that some people that are Olympic athletes and they have dedicated their life to this training and this system and excelling at a sport that they love, that is hard to see, like that the organization is turning this way. Like you see the organization isn't here to support people, it's here to perpetuate the sport, independent of who is participating in that sport, independent of their ideology, their feelings, how many people are being murdered in their home country. The Olympic organization doesn't care. And that's why it's important to rally behind like your community and athletes in the community. Like I know a lot of wrestlers like that might be potentially interested in going to the Olympics, and to like, that's not like not disrespectful to their dream, but yeah, I definitely have never supported the Olympics, so this isn't surprising to me.
Nah, I'm not really a big fan. And most of the sports I like to watch anyway aren't even on there. Or if they are on there, they're at weird times that you can barely find, like wrestling or judo. Like you can't, you're not gonna get primetime viewing, so screw it. Screw the Olympics.
Okay, so let's talk about jiu-jitsu then.
Oh
More
yes,
jiu-jitsu.
yes, yes. Another interesting sport. All right, we had BJJ Stars. Did you get to watch any of it, Nico?
I did. I did watch some of this. This is my goal. You're not about to ask me about matches I didn't see, though.
Well, how about you
It was
lead the
like,
way? Talk about the matches that you saw,
no,
and then
no,
I'll
you
look at
tell me.
them.
Like, I think the standouts that we saw, like obviously the only two, my two big takeaways were like, Muhammad. I saw he went down there. I wanted to be at the match to support him. Wasn't able to do that. He had a controversial loss. And Muhammad goes hard. He always ends up bloody and stuff like that. And then another controversial match was getting slept. Like how do you sleep through the end of your fight and still win? So like those were the two hot takes I think from the match.
Well, let's start with Muhammad versus Yuri Samoas.
Yeah, your opinions on that fight?
Well, let me look through my notes because I took voracious notes. First thing I put down was it's Lex Luthor versus Lex Luthor. Like, if you remember the Justice League cartoon, I have a picture so we can put that on the cover of the thumbnail. But both of them look like Justice League United Lex Luthor from the cartoon.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to start doing his breakdowns, like just him by himself in front of that black screen that I want to change after this episode, because he just has him and dumb shit. Like it just needs to be him in the pictures. Keep going. Lex Luthor and Batroc. That's good.
Yeah, that's a lot of hand holding and going head to head. Jiu-jitsu needs to have a shot clock, like in wrestling, when like someone has to attack, like go for a shot or whatever. Do something
Yeah, like the
because,
chess timer.
or like a chest
Like you're
time.
gonna lose if you don't shoot and initiate a match by a certain time. You lose automatically. Like boom.
Yeah, let's
Shot
just
attempt timer.
let's just scrap it out. Forget all the holding hands and stuff. But big guys fights are more tactical because if you're a bigger person, the consequences of you screwing up in a sequence are way more dire just because the people are bigger. And you're going to say, well, they're both the same size.
That's what I would say exactly.
Okay, but check this out. If you're a little person, you're able to maneuver way easier in space. Correct? That's
Way
why
easier
there's
in
nobody
space, yeah.
Muhammad size going to the Olympics for gymnastics. That's why you see little guys, the matches can be a little bit more exciting
But
in
no,
scrambles
but I also
because
see
they can move.
Muhammad try to move like he's a tiny man. Like when we were drilling beer and bolo entrances to leg locks, and he was just spinning into them like he was 120 pounds. So
Is that common or is that an anomaly for someone that's 240 pounds?
I don't know because I see it in Muhammad.
You
So
see it in Muhammad. How many people move like Muhammad? This guy is an NFL caliber athlete. If he were to take a year and learn how to do it, he could be a defensive end for the. I'm about to say the Redskins. Well, I just said the Redskins.
I'd
We're
say
in the
the
NFL
truck is
team.
the truck is pretty damn quick. Like I don't
He's
know. I've just
180
seen.
pounds. He's a middleweight.
All right, Pops Corella. One time, I said he was gonna be fat and slow, and he smashed me, but like quickly. Like he was just quick about it. But okay, I digress. So yes, you are heavier. Okay, I wouldn't think of that. Like you would think it would go back and forth if you were both big dudes.
And on top of that, if you're naturally big, you don't want to end up on bottom. That's the thing. You want to be tactical, so you don't want to end up on bottom. It's the style matchup too. Like both of those guys are better on top than on bottom. And that's what tends to happen. That's why I think we need to have a shot clock. Not to say they weren't trying to kill each other, because if you look at the last minute or so of the match, they definitely were. I thought Muhammad turned up at the end. Unfortunately, when it gets that close and it goes to judge's decision, you can't really be mad in that situation. That's what I thought about that match. And then the next match that you talked about, Lucas Hulk versus Mateus Diniz. Mateus Diniz is very good. I think he's very overlooked. Uh, he has a good credential. He has an ADCC title. He beat Craig Jones in the final. He ran through the competition, and he had to go through some tough matches to get there because he lost to Josh Hinger a few times in the run up to it. And then at the big one, he got the job done. So congratulations to him. Let me see that match. Let me go back. See, I wrote a lot of notes, Nico. I'm like a nerd when it comes to jiu-jitsu. I don't know if
You
you
are,
know
yeah,
this.
no.
All right, so do I even have it up here? Oh my goodness. Let me see. Oh no, I don't have notes about the match. What am I doing with myself? So I'm gonna just go off top with this match. I thought it was a very tactical match, just like the big guy match we just mentioned. Uh, Super close, a lot of shots going in. It was actually more active wrestling than Ali versus Yuri. Uh, Lucas Hulk, what he lacks for setups, he makes up for in aggression and just power. Because when he shot in for that takedown and wrapped around Mateus's butt, like, and drove through, that was very good. But Mateus is so game, and he's always dangerous. So the real action and the real controversy of the match came at the end when they call him King Kong now. But Mateus Diniz put Lucas Hulk in a one-arm choke from crucifix and held it there, and he put Lucas Hulk to sleep.
He was out.
He was out before the timer rang. In this situation, this is the referee's fault. The referee should have known while he had the choke in that he was out. And as soon as Mateus Diniz let go of the choke and Lucas Hulk falls to the ground, he needs to wave it off and automatically call a technical submission for Mateus Diniz because he's unconscious. All right?
A technical submission.
Technical because he didn't tap. He got put to sleep.
That,
It's like
that
a
makes
TKO.
sense. But yeah, that makes sense. And it just, the way you explained it just seems like, oh yeah, why wouldn't it have happened like that? Like how, if you're out and like, cause then when I watched the video again, like you can tell that he's like sitting there choking him and trying to like, it seems like he's trying to get the ref's attention cause he knows that the dude is fucked up.
He's out.
But
he's out. And then they went to look at the video and they're like, oh, well, technically, no. This is a combat sport.
Yeah, if we're
this
talking
is jiu-jitsu. Obviously, he was out before the timer rang. Because if he wasn't, he would have been celebrating right afterwards. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know how people get put in a submission? Like, when I beat Keenan at Worlds, he put me in one of those things where, like, you lock your legs, the no-arm triangle. But I was just like,
Yeah,
I win.
Yeah.
And, like, you
that's
show
why
the
you got to
referee.
make sure that they ain't getting that advantage for that knee.
Yes,
Like, yeah, you're like,
exactly.
nah,
I'm just
I
like,
ain't sweating this. I ain't sweating
this is
this.
easy
You know,
work.
there's a hustle to jiu-jitsu. You got to have a little hustle. You got to have a little swag to it.
And he didn't have no swag because he was asleep.
He was asleep. But then he had the audacity to wake back up and act like he was the man.
In my opinion, if the match ends and you're in a submission and you let go and your body drops like that, TKO. Because that means he was unconscious before. Just because a referee doesn't notice that they're out, but like when the submission is let go and after the bell rings and the person's out, to me that's a submission. Because you're unconscious during the match. When they ring the bell and you're out, you're still out. That means it happened before the bell rang. And they gave it to, I don't understand the logic. Maybe we can get the referee on the show to explain himself. But that was bogus, and it makes jiu-jitsu look bush league because Mateus Diniz won that match. Like, he lost, but he won. He can be like, yo, I put you to sleep, fam. I put you to sleep. Although he did lose on points, he put you to sleep. Submission is king. So that's what I thought about that match.
Transition to submission. That's the goal in jiu-jitsu. And it's like, you know, a lot of people talk shit about flow grappling, but, you know, and all of their crazy posting lately, but that's really what they're trying to push with this, like, whole who's number one is to, like, yo, if you choked a motherfucker out, like you definitely the number one. Like it's not like the rules when you let such janky rules or such confusion like that. It's just weird. It just makes the sport look bad.
The problem is that there's no unified rules because jiu-jitsu is I mean, it's a sport,
It's
but
hard. I mean, on the
what
court
sport
side,
has different rules for different, you know what I mean? Like basketball, there's FIBA rules, but then there's NBA rules, but at
yeah.
least like the same sport. But with jiu-jitsu, even if it's no gi or gi, the rules is different.
Mhm.
Everywhere you go, the rules are different. So, no
It's a
Olympics
lot
for
of
us.
confusing data.
Did you see Pena versus Gaudio?
No, I didn't.
Okay. Well, I missed watching Felipe Pena. He's criminally overlooked. I hear a lot of goat talk by other people, but let's be real here. Any guy that can find success in gi and no gi, who's won an absolute division, what's so funny?
Just the way that you say shit, he's criminally overlooked.
He is. He's one of the
I just
best of
love
all
it.
time. Think about this. This Bama
Yeah, we
from
just need
purple
Tim's hot takes on.
from purple belt on has been almost unbeatable. He can do good in gi and no gi. He is human silly putty. He sticks to you, pause, and is in and is it is almost indestructible. All right, Patrick Gaudio, I really liked his gi version of a K guard sweep, but Felipe Pena is just too much, man. His mount sequence was shin on the near side knee, so that you can't. So it forces you to go flat on your back. Then he goes to step over the mount. Gaudio turns away, body triangle, bow and arrow. I fought Felipe Pena before. It was close, but he is legitimately human silly putty because he's so good at just his body just contorts where he always finds a way to get back to 50-50. If he's in trouble, I've only seen him get starched maybe like once or twice, and that was Nicholas Marigali. I think Buchecha beat him, but that match was kind of close. Like Felipe Pena is the definition of hard to kill. I was really impressed by this performance from him. I'm happy to see him back. He's an absolute dog. I saw the Gu Pereira versus Herbert match. That was kind of boring. I'm not going front. Like, that was kind of boring.
Herbert is give or take. You know, you never know which Herbert is going to show up.
He can gut it out if he has to, but it has to go exactly in the way he likes to stall it out. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He's kind of a front runner in a lot of ways. Like if he's running in front, like he'll steamroll you. But if you're not going away, it's either gonna be boring or he's gonna tap because he's tired or he's just sick of it. I'm gonna give the ladies some love too. I saw Bianca Basilio versus Gabby Fletcher.
I need to watch that match.
All right, Bianca Basilio is evolving every time she goes out. You know, I noticed her in gi. She was more of a guard puller. Like she had takedowns, but she wasn't as aggressive. I think that cost her a world title in the gi one time in the finals. But since then, she's been going for the kill. Like she made what's her name cry? What's her name? Fionn at ADCC
Oh yeah.
because
Yeah.
she's just because everyone's like Fionn, like Fionn's gonna do it. Man, listen, Fionn is very good. She's good at takedowns and gi or no gi. But when you make someone like her cry because you just pull the May and just body her, like I'm thoroughly impressed. And she steamrolled poor Gabby Fletcher. She did a few that throw by to the body lock attempt to like a suplex was crazy. She almost sent her to Suplex City. Then she does the I'm behind you, I'm gonna kick your knees out so you either sit down or I'm gonna tear both your ACLs. And takedowns matter. It led to her being on mount for 90% of the match. She did a mount body triangle on this girl. And then she was in a triangle, a mounted triangle towards the end. It went for a toe hold. That's shit that you do to a lower belt when you're just playing around in practice. And she did it against a black belt. After most of the match, she was in mount. So, shout out to Bianca Basilio. I want to see a rematch with her and Bia Mosquito in Nogi. That's one of my dream matches.
That would be amazing. So for all y'all that are too cheap to pay for that Patreon, what y'all should do is go like take the timestamps to these breakdowns of these fights, take some notes on all the transitions and the stuff that Tim pointed out from these matches, and then go watch the matches and look for that stuff, because that's how you learn to study film. Like that's what I do, like as a blue belt, because like I have no attention. Well, I guess I should say not as a blue belt. I as a lower belt, you know, because I don't have a lot of attention, or when I watch fights, like I can't concentrate or I don't know what to pick out. So like that's why I always ask like Master Donnie or Tim, or I look for specific people or specific moves, and then like I ask for the fights. So that was all like a really incredible breakdown of like what happened and like what was so dope about like the stuff that they were doing.
Yeah, that's how you should break down film. And I can break down film for you. As a matter of fact, I can critique your matches. I can even give you a game plan in the form of a flow chart with all your best techniques from the beginning of the match to your best positions to your best submissions. All of that can be found at timspriggsbjj.com. Yes, shout out to Blue Edge Business Solutions and Federico Cali. Also, you can find me at Tim Spriggs BJJ on Instagram and Facebook. Nico, where can we find you?
Make sure to follow me on Instagram at no new Nico. That's no_new_Nico. Slide over to favelajujitsu.com if you're trying to get some stuff. We have my brother's keepers hoodies, some favela hoodies, some joggers. I know it's summer, but if you cut and weight, or just like me, because Tim got the AC on and it's cold in here, you know, it's always nice to have some hoodies. So that's what's up. That's about it.
And remember, for all the bonus content, because we got so much stuff to give you guys on Patreon, go to patreon.com/BJJ Goons. I show my techniques, not my techniques, I show jiu-jitsu techniques. I give you bonus material like bonus episodes. We answer all your questions. We're even going to start doing live town halls now that we got all this nice fancy equipment.
Oh, yeah. Because, like, I went up and did, like, a consultation. I'm going to just put it out there because I know a lot of people ask me about media stuff or podcasts. So then we got a new soundboard. I know y'all can tell the difference. The soundboard has a lot of dope tricks. That's why we haven't had any guests in a while. Like, we want to pull them back with, like, dope sounds. So we did a test yesterday. And now, like, because we have mad guests. There's, like, some wrestlers out from, like, Tennessee that I'm trying to get on here that be doing some crazy stuff. Some people from Project Grapple. Like, there's a lot of people that we've been wanting to bring on, but we've been holding off because we want to make sure that the sound quality is better for y'all.
So that's it.
Yeah.
This has been the BJJ Goons podcast. Peace.